Yeah. Run it back, nation. Run it back, nation. What is good? It is DJ Eastwood, Run It Back Philly. No frauds, no fanboys. Never in my life have I ever even thought about maybe considering one day possibly having an intro. Shout out to everybody in here. Hey, thanks for being a member of the chat. Trey, thanks for being a member of the chat. A member of the channel. Member of the chat, member of the channel. Same thing. Shout out to everybody else in here. If you're not a member, consider being a member, bro. It's just it's a nice thing. If you like this content, help your boy out a little bit. And you get a little tiny badge next to your name, man. Look at that. Maxey said the physicality impacted him a little. I also try to read all members' chat comments, too. Nick Nurse said that in his post-game press conference that the physicality affected him a little bit. The Indiana Pacers definitely had a plan coming in, and I would say they executed that plan. For most of the game, Maxey got, went on a little bit of a run in the fourth quarter. But the first three quarters, you know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure he went into the fourth with 17 points. The Pacers had a plan to play physical, and they took us out of our game for most of it. The fact that Joel Embiid finished with 39, 13, and 6, and Maxey finished with 27 and 5 for being an air quotes off night. Those are pretty damn good numbers. 98 people in here. Give me 90 likes on the stream. If you're watching this on replay, hit the like button. Give me 1,000. That's the new standard, 1,000. Okay, let's get into it, man. So I haven't listened to Nick Nurse's press conference, and I figured, the day after a Sixers game, we could just listen to what Nurse said after the loss, and listen to what he said and discuss what he said, because we only have 2 losses on the season. It's interesting, it felt like, hey, this is going to be a perfect season. We're never going to lose. We're going to go 81-1. Nobody can touch us. We're shocking the world. So we lose a game. So let's hear what Nick Nurse said after the loss about what went down. All right.
Yeah, for sure. They exactly right. We came out, got the big lead early. They did it tonight, and we were, I thought we were settled in a little bit better in the second half. Couldn't quite get away, build any kind of lead or whatever. It was just such a game that sometimes like the ball just is not bouncing your way, and I was probably most. I don't know what it is, amazed at how many times we had them in difficult situations and they threw a wild pass and completed it somehow. We'd tip it, we'd knock it away, and they'd end up with the ball. Like they just.
This is why we were laughing in the playback chat.
And it felt like we could have doubled.
It was just a funny game
on some of the sequences, but it just wasn't happening tonight for whatever reason. It was just some plays that the ball just kept ending up back in their favor. But I thought we fought really hard. I thought we gave ourselves a chance there, and then just didn't quite play well enough down the stretch.
You talked about Halliburton before the game.
Yep.
Obviously, very good again tonight. Just what were you trying to do defensively? Obviously, had Pat Bev in there.
Hallie had 33 and 15 assists, man.
Yeah, listen, he was tough. I'm just probably from certainly not. We were trying a bunch of different guys on him. I thought we were doing okay on some of the things, but we just let him get going early by he had 5 threes in the first half where we just either miscommunicated a coverage or we went under
a screen,
over, and some of those things where we just kind of let him have a couple clean looks early, and then I think he was kind of off to the races. I thought you're right. I think Pat did a good job of, turning his water off a little bit, and then he was struggling there for a while. And then he made a couple big plays down the stretch.
You got a 25th in the league in 3-point attempts per game so far this season. Shot 22 tonight.
Oh, that's a good stat that I didn't know. The Sixers are 25th in the league in 3-point attempts per game so far this season. That's not good. Nurse is known for ball movement, high-speed offenses, and shooting threes. He was credited for bringing more ball movement and three-point shooting to the Toronto Raptors as an assistant, and that's part of the reason he was promoted to head coach there. So that's interesting. 25th in the league in three-point attempts.
Is that a volume you want to bring up?
Yeah, I think for sure we are. I do like our rim rate is way up there, right? I think we are like we always want to establish. It's kind of like football. You want to establish your running game a little bit, and getting to the basket is certainly a priority first. But yeah, I think in this league you gotta be able to keep some type of pace. You're gonna have a hard time winning. Let's see, what is it, 39-18 from the 3-point line tonight. You can't. It's not like you got to win the 3-point game, but you got to be.
Yeah, you got to stay there.
Relatively close.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, we need to make a few more.
How would you evaluate your execution down the stretch? Seemed like Joel and Tyrese, like we ran a sharp as it normally are.
Yeah, I mean, we had a couple weird plays there. I think, Joel ended up bringing that one up, outletted up the floor to him on a rebound. He brought that one up. I'm not sure he traveled on that one. That was one.
I forgot about that play. Joel just stood there to hand the ball off, and they called a travel. He literally didn't move his feet at all. It was the weirdest call. There was a lot of weird calls in the game.
One of them. We had another. Obviously, the other one was a really bad possession where it was just kind of a chaotic thing. From the start. I think it started in the backcourt and ended up continuing on. Listen, I think again, like there were some good ones. Like Joel turns to dunk on him, and there was some chances down there that again, like you're gonna probably think that him turning around and dunking the ball is gonna be a basket. That's kind of summed up the way the ball was kind of bouncing tonight a little bit. But we'll take a look at a little bit of the film.
How did that weird officiating thing sort of unfold from your perspective? The KJ shooting the free throws, then they realized, oh no, you should be able to.
So my understanding of it is that a player gets hurt and the other team gets to pick who shoots. Right?
Oh yeah, this was, for those that don't know, we were in the playback stream like, what the hell is going on? Even the broadcasters didn't know what happened. It took like an hour and a half for the officials to figure it out. We were like, what's with the stoppage of play? They were, when Tobias Harris had to go to the locker room because he almost broke his neck on a pump fake where Bruce Brown just jumped on top of his head. Just a weird play. That's one of those games where you would hate for someone to get injured in because the whole game was weird and it would just suck for something like an awkward play like that. But Tobias had to go to the locker room and KJ Martin was checking in for him, so they made KJ Martin shoot the free throws, and he's a horrendous free throw shooter, and he missed both of them. And then I guess Nick Nurse figured out that, like, hey, we were supposed to be able to choose the free throw shooter. And so 20 minutes later, the officials stopped the game and let us shoot free throws for a play that happened a long time ago. Very weird.
A player gets hurt, and the other team gets to pick who shoots, right? However, I guess there's a little caveat in there. If it's a concussion protocol, then I guess you're supposed to shoot. But I'd never been through that before. I'd never been that way. So they were going kind of by what I would consider the old rule that I was familiar with. They would get a pick, right? And then the game went on, and I guess Secaucus called in and said, hey, that we didn't administer that right. It is a correctable error. So we got to choose somebody that was on the floor in that moment. So we just sent Tyrese up there.
I'm sure you weren't worried, or maybe you weren't expecting Tyrese to score 50 again tonight, but what do you think Indiana did to kind of slow him down?
Yeah, I thought they obviously were doing some things on the pick and roll, sending a little more help. I thought they were awful physical. I don't know how many free throws he shot, but it should have been 3 times what he shot. I thought they bumped him on a ton of those shots, and they started it early and
Tyrese did get he got hit a lot and didn't get any calls.
And continued to do that the whole game. So, but he's got to, you got to adjust to the officiating on each and every night, and you got to play through those hits and score them anyway. Not let it get you frustrated.
That's what I like. This is what I like about Nick Nurse, and you can tell the players are playing a lot more through contact this season, and just him saying something like this is that exact point.
On each and every night, and you got to play through those hits. But he's got to, you got to adjust to the officiating on each and every night, and you got to play through those hits and score them anyway. Not let it get you frustrated.
You doubled down. Is that another step for?
And some of those games where Joel Embiid clearly gets frustrated in the first half, like against Yusuf Nurkic, and then the second half he comes out just dominating. It's because Nick is like, hey, you got to play through the contact. They're going to call it. They're not going to call it. You got to put the ball in the hoop. So stop playing like a bitch and get out there.
For him, just knowing that, okay, you score 50, a team's going to really hone in on you. And I mean, he's been on the scouting report for 2-3 years now. But still.
Yeah, I mean, I think he still played good. He still played really good. I thought, most of the second half. I just think it's basketball, man. You play 82. Some nights you're going to have it rolling. Some nights it's going to be you're not. Some nights you're going to be somewhere.
So there was Nick Nurse after the game, and some of the points he made I agree with. Jojo, Mr. Rudy, man, thanks for the super chat. Thanks for the support. As always, high supporter of the month. I appreciate you. He said, JoJo, shake my head. How does your team score a bucket and you consistently get beat for easy layups on outlet passes? Joel's effort was yikes. Do better. Definitely did see a lot of outlet passes go all the way down the floor. I'm like, how are we getting beat in transition off of made baskets or off of free throw players or free throw shots? Or it was just like, that's probably the most frustrating thing when you see a team get beat all the way down the floor on the type of possession where they should be set defensively after a made basket or after a free throw. That definitely happened a lot last night. Joel's effort maybe in those instances wasn't there 100%. But again, it's the first night of a back-to-back, and I don't want to say Joel was trying to conserve his energy, but that might be a thing. He might be like, I want to dominate the Boston Celtics tomorrow night. I don't want to go all out. I don't want to go 110% tonight and, be tired tomorrow and have a bad game against the Celtics. So that could be a thing for Joel Embiid. I said a lot over the years that he seems to load manage during games sometimes. And I'm just saying, it might not be a coincidence that the first night of a back-to-back, you didn't see 110% from Joel Embiid as far as effort on defense goes. There was a play in the second half, towards the end actually, and it was a close game. I think it was a 3-point game, and Miles Turner got him under the rim, and he just let him put the ball in the hoop. It was the weirdest thing. Didn't even try to defend it at all. Joel was a little bit frustrating last night. He was, but again, we're 8-2. We were on an 8-game win streak. It's the first night. It was the first night of a back-to-back. It is what it is. Let's go through some things, man, because the Tyrese Maxey thing, yeah, he finished with 27, and this is why I said the box score and the game are two different stories. I didn't think Maxey had a good game. I thought he showed a little bit of a lack of aggression in the first half again, and we know that Nick Nurse is staying on him about that, which is why all of a sudden he started, kind of being more aggressive in the fourth quarter, and he got 23 field goal attempts up, even with having a bad shooting night. He finished 9 for 23, but you need him to stay aggressive. My guy Sean Bernard tweeted, Tyrese Maxey having 1 3-point attempt with 5 minutes left in the third quarter just can never happen. He's too good of a shooter to not be getting up 3+ 3-point attempts every game, 8+ 3-point attempts every game. Sixers need more volume out of him. Absolutely. from the start of the game. And Nick said that Maxey wasn't getting the calls or whatever. It was clear that the Pacers were going to play more physical, go outside the screens, bump and run on the perimeter, trap Maxey at half court, and honestly, you gotta respect the respect that he's getting from the NBA right now. After dropping 50 on him 2 nights ago, they were like, okay, we're not letting this kid drop 50 on us again. And they were trapping this dude at half court on some possessions. That's respect. That's where Tyrese Maxey has gotten at just 23 years old. That he's being shown that respect from a defense, but he definitely shied away once, with the physicality of the Pacers in the first half. And then I think, he settled down and, got his confidence back a little bit later in the game and went on a little bit of a run in the fourth quarter. But I agree with Sean, man. There's no reason for Maxey to have 1 3-point attempt halfway through the third quarter. Maxey should have 2 or 3 3-point attempts every quarter, I feel like. I want him to be 8 for 12, you know what I mean? Or 2 for 12. Or he's saying 8+. I'm saying 10. Shoot the ball. Every single time you feel like you're open, you shoot it. He just, he definitely lacked aggression last night, and it is what it is. It was the Pacers game. It was the first night of a back-to-back. I see you guys talking in the chat a lot about what the Sixers need to do. So there's a backup point guard situation, I think, definitely. There is a bench situation, definitely, with Kelly Oubre still out, not KJ Martin, Nick Batum having personal issues. The bench, we only got 6 points from last night. I do think probably the Sixers' biggest weakness right now is the backup point guard position. Because as soon as Maxey leaves the floor, you're trying to run those Joel Embiid lineups with Maxey off the floor so that you can stagger both of your stars. And, Nick Nurse does it in the second quarter and he does it in the fourth quarter, where then Maxey comes in for the first 5-6 minutes of the second and the fourth with Joel on the bench. The problem with the Joel Embiid lineup without Maxey is there's no point guard. There's no pick and roll point guard. There's no facilitator. There's no engine of the offense. The prototypical backup point guard, the Malcolm Brogdon. Who else? Derek White. I don't know. I'm just saying that. They definitely need a backup point guard, and you notice it last night in a lot of those lineups. When Maxey went to the bench, that there was just no real offensive creation. It's also where you miss Kelly Oubre in those bench lineups where Maxey's on the bench. There's no offensive creation. Pat Bev can't really get it done. DeAnthony Melton, I don't know what he is. I just think he's a bench combo guard. He's not a point guard at all. He really has blinders on when he has the ball. There was a fast break 3-on-1 where DeAnthony Melton literally never looked up to even think about passing the ball and missed some kind of awkward whatever floater layup thing that he does. You need a backup point guard. But I see you guys in the chat going on and on about what the Sixers do need. And, of course, the Chicago Bulls just a couple days ago did put Zach LaVine on the trade block. And a lot of people are talking about whether or not the Sixers should trade for Zach LaVine. So Sixer Daily posts a Zach LaVine mock trade. And my God, look at this. Mock trade for Zach LaVine. I don't know who came up with this trade. Who came up with it? It says via NBA Trade Center on Instagram. This has to be run by a 13-year-old kid or something, because this is a ridiculous mock trade. Should the Sixers, for Zach LaVine, give up Marcus Morris? Sure. Nick Batum, Robert Covington, Jaden Springer, 3 first-round picks, and 2 seconds. Three first-round picks for Zach LaVine. You're losing. You're pulling a Clippers if you do this. You're pulling a Clippers if you do this. I know Robert Covington isn't some kind of star. I know Nick Batum isn't some kind of star. You're pulling a Clippers if you do this. You lack wing depth, D-E-P-T-H, depth. You're going to give up Batum and Covington and 3 first-round picks to take on Zach LaVine and his $178 million contract. Yeah, no, that's a big no for me. I mean, that's that. It's not even like, look, I like Zach LaVine as a scorer. I like Zach LaVine. But there's people on the internet acting like Zach LaVine has led the league in scoring, has been on MVP lists, has gotten, bad teams out of playoff rounds, has elevated players around him, has Zach LaVine has done absolutely nothing to be treated like a superstar. Yeah, I'm saying no to that trade. 3 first-round picks is crazy. I think that Tobias Harris would probably have to be in a trade for Zach LaVine because of the salary. And I said this last night on the stream. Yeah, Zach LaVine's better than Tobias Harris. But is he much better? Is he really much better? What's Zach LaVine's career point per game? Zach LaVine career point per game. 20.5. 20.5. I don't know where this came from that we're treating this guy like some kind of superstar and talking about 3 first-round picks for him, but I am not there. It's Zach LaVine, not Jason Tatum. Exactly. Hey, exactly. Thank you for the super chat. It's Zach LaVine. It's not Jason Tatum. Honestly, what the Sixers' needs are, because I think Nick Batum, if he ever comes back and stops leaving for personal reasons, whatever's going on there, I think Nick Batum's a very nice fit. I'm more on more defensive players, 3-and-D type of players. You don't need a third star. You don't need a third star. We gotta stop this stuff, man. You don't need a third guy that needs the ball in his hands and his main weapon is shooting or scoring. That's what the Clippers did. You know what I'm saying? And now they have no depth. And they have 4 guys that need the basketball and 1 basketball. So no, I'm off the Zach LaVine thing. You know who I'll take? I'll take Alex Caruso. I'll take Alex Caruso from the Bulls. I would do that. And OG Anunoby from the Toronto Raptors. And I'll say that every day for the rest of this until the trade deadline, if it happens. Every day. Every day I'll say that until it happens. What else we got? People are talking about the Sixers bench. I think the funniest thing about last night's game is that the people in the comments are acting like we have the worst bench in the world. And there's a lot of comments after last night's game like our bench is atrocious. We got to do something about the bench. We got to do something about the bench. We did do something about the bench. We were missing 2 of them. We were missing Kelly Oubre and Nick Batum. Nick Batum was in the starting lineup with Kelly Oubre out. Kelly Oubre was in the starting lineup after the trade and things like that, but we were missing 2 role players. You can't take a game where you're playing without 2 role players and just say the bench is horrible. I do kind of question just who was played and who wasn't. But I just don't think Nick Nurse had a lot to work with last night off the bench. You could say he should have played KJ Martin. You could say he should have played Jaden Springer. But are any of those guys giving you anything offensively? Not really. I looked at the Sixers bench net rating. And it's funny because their bench net rating, their bench minutes per game is second to last in the NBA at 29th. out of 30. Their minutes, their bench minutes per game is second to last in the NBA. And Toronto Raptors fans told us Nick Nurse plays his starters heavy minutes. Their bench minutes per game, second to last in the NBA. So they were right about that. But their bench net rating, second in the NBA, behind the Golden State Warriors, who have the most bench minutes in the NBA. It could just be that our bench isn't playing a lot of minutes, so our net rating is higher because they're taking advantage of their time that they get on the court. But our bench has not been bad the times that they're on the floor. Last night they were bad, and we were missing, Kelly Oubre, and Kelly Oubre is a big difference in all of this. But yeah, you need some more depth, because if you're relying on Kelly Oubre for, just like, we could be good if Kelly Oubre is always there. It's Kelly Oubre. I think he's having a great season, and hopefully he comes back and continues what he was doing. But you definitely need some more depth if Kelly Oubre is the only savior in kind of the middle area of the roster. Another question that I have is, does KJ Martin suck? Does KJ Martin suck? There's a reason Nick Nurse doesn't like this guy. There has to be, right? Because last night, of all times to put KJ Martin on the floor, it would have been last night. I thought it was interesting that you didn't see really Jaden Springer or KJ Martin, and you've seen Jaden Springer in the rotation in games where we had more roster options. I thought I was going to see KJ Martin last night. We didn't really see him until Tobias Harris hurt his neck and he came in to brick 2 free throws. And one of the replies to the tweet is a good one, and here it is. Philly Muse, yes, KJ Martin sucks. In his few games that he played with the Clippers, they had to run him at center because he can't shoot, and he's a mid defender. When KJ Martin was in the trade, one of the clips that I posted on social media was me talking about how excited I am to have an athletic finishing guy like KJ Martin. And I think it was really just because I want to see some highlight dunks. Just the basketball fan inside of me wants to see some 360 windmills, okay? But realistically, is KJ Martin any good? He comes in the game and has to shoot 2 free throws and, just no. Nick Nurse doesn't seem to think he's any good because he's not putting him on the floor in a game where you would have definitely thought KJ Martin would get some run. He got none at all. So there's that. Mr. Rudy, thanks again for another super chat. We need passing. That's why Batum was sorely missed last night for his passing. Tyus Jones, DeLon Wright, OG Anunoby, who can play make a little. Yeah. Backup point guard is a need. And OG would be perfect. I like DeLon Wright too. OG and Alex Caruso, that's where I'm at with it. What else I got, man? Speaking of the Celtics, so look, we can forget about last night's game. Who cares? It was the Indiana Pacers, the first night of a back-to-back. We weren't going to go 81-1. It was a weird game, as you heard Nick Nurse say. Tonight it's the Celtics, and tonight is the game that matters. Tonight is the game that matters, and I would love nothing more in this world than to go up 2-0 on the season record versus the Boston Celtics. I would love nothing more. I hate the Boston Celtics with a passion. And now, one of their only losses is to the Philadelphia 76ers. And everybody's still talking like the Boston Celtics are the greatest thing to ever happen to planet Earth. Everybody's still talking. Stephen A. Smith said yesterday, the Boston Celtics are the most lethal starting 5 in the NBA. And this was a fun stat. Stephen A. Smith comes across a stat and just goes crazy with it. One single particular specific stat. And here's what he said. Did we know that the Celtics starting five is outscoring their opponents by 39 points per every 100 possessions? They're a plus 39. You could have just said they're plus minus. Their starting five is a plus 39. This is the most lethal starting five in the National Basketball Association. By the way, they're also leading the rebounding team. They're the leading rebounding team in the association. The Celtics are legit. They're my favorites to come out of the East and go to the finals for a reason. And last night was the latest example of how they showed why. And I'm not saying the Celtics aren't a top-tier team. I'm saying if their only loss, perfectly healthy, is to the Philadelphia 76ers, why is everyone acting like the Celtics are out here destroying everyone? Another reason why I want to beat this team tonight. Because I'm ready for the national media to start talking about the Sixers, because this is bullshit. So Stephen A. Smith gets the stat from here. Boston's starting five is a plus 39. Well, now they're a plus 40, okay? And he's making it sound like they are just a mile ahead of everyone. But look who's in fifth in the entire NBA in plus minus. The Philadelphia 76ers. And we could maybe, throw this stat out the window because the Brooklyn Nets are fourth. At a plus 26 with Ben Simmons on the floor. He's out. The Clippers before the Harden trade. Bro! The Los Angeles Clippers before the Harden trade. Russell Westbrook, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Robert Covington, and Zubac were a plus 39. And I don't want to go on a Clippers rant right now, but I said that a couple weeks ago. I was like, the Celtics, the Clippers look legit right now. I don't even think they should trade for James Harden, and they did it anyway. And they've been terrible ever since the trade. But, Boston's a plus 40. The Sixers are top 5 in that category also, and we can beat them tonight. We can beat them tonight. One more thing. Somebody said Kristaps Porzingis is out tonight. Let's go to injury report. Sixers, Celtics. Let's try that. 3 hours ago, Celtics could be missing 2 starters in rematch. Boston Celtics injury status, ESPN. We got... Oh, get your ads out of here, bro. I don't want to manage my favorites. Show me the damn site! Jaylen Brown says day-to-day with illness. And Kristaps Porzingis is day-to-day with a right knee contusion. Right knee contusion. I don't remember when he got hurt. But there you go. Kristaps Porzingis is questionable for tonight's game against the Sixers with a right knee contusion. That is, Kristaps Porzingis' career. I'm not saying it's not also Joel Embiid's career, but there it is. If we play him without Kristaps, even more of a way to beat them. Then they would of course have an excuse, though. You know what I mean? Then the fans would have an excuse. Oh, you played us without Porzingis. You played us without Porzingis. I want to beat them so bad tonight. I want to beat them so bad. And we're going to be on Playback TV, of course. Download the app, Playback TV. It's on the Apple App Store. It's on the Google Play Store. Go to Run It Back Philly on there and watch every Sixers game with us. Couple more fun things before I get out of here. James Harden says he's still trying to get into James Harden shape. This is just funny to me how a player continues to blame everything and everyone but himself. I keep reiterating, I didn't have a training camp or a preseason, so I'm learning on the fly, also getting myself into James Harden shape. Last night was another step in the right direction to just keep moving. And the comments answer it correctly without me even saying anything. Maybe if you actually worked out during the offseason, this wouldn't be a situation. James Harden shape. You know, the only reason you didn't have training camp or preseason is because you chose to stay away. There's another one that was just perfect. Baby step. A step in the right direction. Bro, start running. I don't get it. James Harden makes it sound like somebody or something stopped him from working out this offseason. Listen, referring to yourself in third person is crazy. I keep reiterating, guys, I didn't have a training camp. What was I supposed to do? You're the one that quit, refused to come to training camp, and didn't do anything all offseason. Now it's, I didn't have a training camp. Like something magically happened to James Harden. Somebody went to his house this offseason and said, James, you can't go to training camp and you can't work out. Just the just unbelievable lack of self-awareness and inability to look in a mirror. And here's Cy, the biggest Harden stan on the planet, blaming everything on Russell Westbrook. And so I just hit him with some quick stats. The Clippers' offensive plus-minus with Harden off the floor since the trade. Since the trade with Harden off the floor, they're a plus 24. Since the trade with Harden on the floor, they're a minus 67. He's cooked, and everybody needs to accept it already. But that's all I got, man. Watch the Sixers Celtics game with us tonight on Playback TV. I don't care much about the Pacers game. I don't care much about that loss at all. Everybody in here, hit the like button. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for hanging out.